Amidst geopolitical waves in the South China Sea, the Philippines is on its course on becoming the middle power. How Philippines would exercise its influence despite its ongoing tensions with China in the South China Sea. In 1945, the Philippines was a core member of the United Nations post-World War II. The country's main objective was always to bring peace and sustainability to the world. Over the years, it's grown exponentially well. But now it faces mighty China over the geopolitical tensions in the South China Sea. This has jeopardized its regional sovereignty. The real question is, can they become the middle power in the South China Sea? Geopolitical problems have long been hailed as the core cause of war throughout history. The Philippines' history of troubled waters could be more manageable, even if it is currently a maritime crossroads. However, the country still needs to perform measures to resolve these issues. In 1967, the nation was pivotal in establishing the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, with 4 other countries. The other founding member nations are Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand. Apart from its geopolitical concerns, the Philippines also had to take necessary measures to bolster its economic standing. Beyond diplomatic and political engagements, the Philippines strategically deployed its economic levers to bolster its standing. Manila, the capital of the Philippines, has harbored the Asian Development Bank since 1966, resulting in economic cooperation and growth across Asia. Further, the growth in the Philippines' economic stature since the second decade of the 21st century is nothing short of remarkable. It was further reported that the country became the 3rd largest economy by nominal GDP in Southeast Asia and now holds the 13th and 29th positions globally. Not to mention that it's ranked 16th among the world's richest nations. Yet, this economic success story has its share of challenges. Inclusive growth struggles and the need for infrastructural development remain paramount for ensuring future-proof growth. The Philippines' struggles continue as they face the unique challenges with the ASEAN bloc. For starters, the countries have differing priority interests, such as economic disparities, security concerns, and cultural and social differences. Now, let's talk about the country's position within the South China Sea. For instance, the Spratly Islands, located in the South China Sea, is a focal point of contention. China's expansionist policies, evident in its so-called 9-line doctrine, have militarized these islands, creating constant further problems with the Philippines. President Duterte's amicable stance toward China didn't help the country's case either. Despite 388 protests against Chinese incursions into the South China Sea, President Duterte's economic incentives and instructional development goals were considered a defensive strategy. 2 events that took the Philippines toward their quest for middle power were the appointment of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and the laser-focused incident. This incident involved the Chinese Coast Guard's aggressive behavior within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, became a turning point. Let's take a little detour and talk about this incident. The laser-focused incident took place on February 6th this year. The attack demonstrated a stark escalation in China's assertiveness within disputed waters. Let's not forget that it violated maritime norms as well. The aggressive maneuver strained an already complex relationship between the Philippines and China. It became a focal point in diplomatic discourse, prompting the Philippine government to send a strongly worded diplomatic protest to the Chinese embassy in Manila. The Marcos administration swiftly signaled a potential shift, emphasizing the historical alliance with the United States. A meeting with US Vice President Kamala Harris reinforced this commitment, highlighting the Antonio Bautista Air Base in Palawan as a symbol of defense and patrol against Chinese intrusions. So, these dramatic turn of events, along with the historical tensions, both the Philippines and China are in hot waters, literally. The Philippines is an archipelago that comprises of 7,000 islands. What makes it a standout performer on these waters is that it's located between major shipping routes, making it a key player in the geopolitics of Southeast Asia. The complications start with the countries connected with Taiwan. Taiwan is at the north of the Philippines. The Luzon Strait separates the Philippines from Taiwan by 200 kilometers, emphasizing its proximity to this island nation. On the west, there are some interactions between the Philippines and Vietnam. To the south, the Philippines shares waters with Malaysia and Indonesia. While pursuing middle power status, there's potential tension with these neighboring countries. Yet being fellow members of ASEAN, Malaysia, Indonesia and Vietnam are natural allies for the Philippines. Despite this, the Philippines faces territorial disputes, especially in the Spratly Islands. The 2016 Arbitral Tribunal ruling rejected China's historical claims, granting legal advantage to the Philippines in the ongoing territorial conflicts. Before we proceed further, let us talk about how ASEAN is building community to create harmony within the region. The country further established a ASEAN Economic Community, or AEC. Reports suggest that the government recognized the importance of removing trade barriers and encouraging the free flow of goods, services, and skilled labor across ASEAN borders. They also understood the significance of the country's economic stability and competitiveness. So the Philippines worked towards implementing policies and frameworks that would enhance the competitiveness of its industries on the regional stage. Apart from that, the nation was also involved in establishing the ASEAN Political Security Community, focusing on regional peace and stability, as well as the ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community, promoting social development and cultural cooperation. These efforts showcase how the Philippines has slowly progressed to compete with the world's powerhouses. But do they stand a chance against the mighty China? Perhaps a more pressing matter is to understand how the country is ranked based on its roles on the ocean. One thing that makes the country stand out is the economic leverage it has over other nations on the bloc. The Philippines strategically recognizes the economic significance of the South China Sea. As one of the fastest growing economies in Southeast Asia, the nation safeguards its interests with vigilance. The economic buoyancy adds a substantial layer to the Philippines' geopolitical standing, intertwining economic pragmatism with strategic foresight. It shapes the nation's multifaceted approach in navigating the intricate waters of the South China Sea. Reports also indicate that the country is adopting minilateralism to further strengthen their sovereignty over the region. But the question is, how is it affecting it on the whole? Well, we'll find out in a while. By definition, minilateralism is a diplomatic strategy that has helped the Philippines gain prominence in the region. The nation has used it to optimal effect to address different issues effectively. Unlike the powerhouses that use multilateral forums to resolve their issues, the Philippines uses minilateral arrangements that include flexibility and informality to address the complex geopolitical concerns surrounding the South China Sea and beyond. That's why the nation turned Manila into the HQ of minilateralism. Minilateral initiatives within and beyond ASEAN become instrumental for the Philippines in optimizing its newly gained middle power status. Examples like the Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines East ASEAN Growth Area, or BIMP-EAGA, and the Trilateral Cooperative Arrangement, or TCA, with Indonesia and Malaysia, showcase Manila's commitment to forging effective solutions in the South China Sea. We have already established that the Philippines has fostered a large network with ASEAN and non-ASEAN states. This endeavor has helped the Philippines resolve regional issues with the key interested players, like the neighboring Asian countries. In fact, the Philippines' shrewd tactics are a good organization's target marketing efforts. For those sports enthusiasts out there, let us create a metaphor for you. In soccer, the star players have a role to fulfill. The management and the coaching staff use this opportunity to create a well-coordinated strategy to change the course of the game. This works more effectively against a stronger opponent. The Philippines also faces a tough opponent in China. That's why it uses minilateral lineup to address specific challenges effectively. Just as a well-coordinated play can change the course of a game, the Philippines utilizes multilateral arrangements to influence the geopolitical score in its favor. As the emerging middle power, the Philippines recognizes the importance of diplomatic influence and robust defense networks. Multilateralism serves as a tool to strengthen these aspects, enabling the nation to assert its leadership role in the region. They say those who stand tall against all odds will conquer all. The country is in an uphill battle against all odds to become the middle power in the South China Sea. But they have two things on their side: history and high-end strategies. Historically, the country has proven itself to deliver and prove the world wrong on all four fronts. Now they have the means and the resources to become an Asian powerhouse in its own right. The key will have to be minilateralism. What makes this strategy stand out is that it's not only resolving the Philippines' South China Sea problems, but also other problems. The Philippines' middle power status amplifies its soft power on the international stage. With their commitment upholding the rule of law, the country has the resources and the status quo to add another layer of moral authority over its counterparts. So, in short, even if things go south, the Philippines can still have allies outside the Asian bloc. Not to mention that the country's diplomatic finesse, economic vibrancy, and strategic acumen are beyond belief. So are you wondering whether the Philippines has what it takes to become the middle power? Because it's not about if they become the middle power, it's about when. As it stands, they have the strategies and resources to reach the podium they are inclined to achieve.